KT7 up here. This is my Yuna 140 showcase video. Before we start, let's go over her follow-up attack. It is different from Gilgamesh's and shurecca's. Her follow-up attack is not restricted by proximity. Also, it seals enemies' re-raise dispel and stop their CT up for 3 turns. It is an active buff that is cast onto an ally. That means any follow-up dispels are effective on the ally, not Yuna. With that out of the way, now let's start the video. FF10-2 Yuna is a 100 cost light unit in the gun group. Her sub-jobs are Sniper and Trick Lancer. Yuna is a critical hit unit and the most accurate unit in the game. She is perfect to deal with semi-evade or hyper-evade teams. She and Zidane forms the next generation gun team. Now let's see what her kit has to offer. We will start with her stats. As a gun unit, her HP is similar to Zidane at 3696. She can take a couple hits, but ideally you would like to finish the fight without letting Yuna be in range of your enemies. With support equipped, her agility is at 78, one of the fastest in the game. Her dex is at 253, very good for her damage, critical rate, and accuracy. She does have access to move -1, which allows her stay back and stay out of enemies' range. Her luck stat is 183, it is barely possible for semi-evade, but I highly recommend not to go that route. Moving on to her new gun, the Tiny Bee. The general ability is lower target's missile resistance by 10 before damage. This is good for Yuna, her only source of missile penetration is from an active attack. The unique abilities for her are Physical Man-Eater 15, AP Consumption Down 15, and All Elemental Resistance 5. This is her best weapon, build 1 assault and 1 aim for different matchups. Her TMR is an accessory. The stats are HP 216, Attack 42, Accuracy 15, and Critical Rate 6. Very nice stats with good accuracy and some attack. The ability is a self-buff, gives the user Accuracy 30, and CT up extra small on crit hits. Very strong ability as well. Active accuracy buff will be really important when Rikku arrives next week. One thing to note, if Yuna has this buff active and lands a critical hit with her follow-up attack, the CT up will not apply. Next is the Mughal costume, it will arrive on week 3 of the collab. The general abilities are Elemental Chain Resistance 25 and Type Chain Resistance 25. Unique abilities for Yuna are Range +1 and Physical Damage up 10%. This is very good for her, it can push her max range to 8. But this is not her best slot 2 equipment in my opinion. Moving on to her weapon type resistances. She has 15 to slash, 10 to missile, and 10 to magic. Neutral to pierce, and -10 to strike. Her ailment resistances are 50 to blind, 50 to disable, and 10 to paralysis. Having 50 to blind is good in the Earth Evade matchup, but 0 to curse could be a problem against Sephiroth. Keep her faith at 50, she does not have much healing in her kit. Next, her master ability. The typical light element buff for the team. Plus 15 accuracy and 20 crit damage for self. At level 140, she gets Physical Wide Guard 15, Magic Wide Guard 15, and Reaction Block Rate 30. Also upgrade to her group buff to include All Elemental Resistance up 20 for self. The Wide Guard is huge for her survivability and works really well with her VC. Continuing on to her main support abilities. Number 1 gives her attack 24%, defense penetration 40, unit resistance penetration 40, and move -1. Support number 2 gives her 12% agility, general force barrier from range 4 to 6, and range +1. Her main reaction has 20% proc rate, recovers 30% HP after taking damage. These 3 are the best from her whole kit, I recommend all 3 for her. Next, her LB. It is a unit attack with base range of 4 and range height 2. Before damage, increase Yuna's missile penetration by 30 for 3 turns, then deals 4 hit extra large damage and increase CT small for self. This LB is crucial to boost her missile attack damage, but not a factor when it comes to her follow-up damage. Next are her main buffing abilities. The buffing order are different depending on the proximity to her allies. If she can reach multiple allies, her AI will use buff number 1 first. If not, she will use buff number 2 first. Buff number 1 affects a diamond shape around self. The effects last for 4 turns. Gives the group physical and magical damage output plus 20%, dispel haste on hit, and lower target's healing power by 20 on hit. For Yuna, she gets re-raise, hate down 5 after reviving, and all elemental resistance up 20 for 4 turns. The on-hit effects from this buff are really strong against many meta setups. Buff number 2 is her follow-up attack. It has range of 3. Grants ally follow-up attack for 4 turns. It does extra small damage, and the hit rate is based on the ally's accuracy. Seals targets re-raise dispel and nullifies CT up for 3 turns. Also gives Yuna range +2, remove after taking 2 hits. And recover 10 AP on critical hits. The AP recovery on crit hits does not apply to her follow-up attacks. Her follow-up attack can help you take care of many powerful meta setups, such as Exiah and Zidane with CT up. It also protects re-raise for herself and Zidane. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the follow-up effect is on the ally. If they get hit by a follow-up dispel, it will be gone. Also, it only has 3 use, she could run out for second guild battle attacks. Okay, let's move on to her main job attacks. Number 1 is a unit attack with base range of 2 to 4 and range height 2. Before damage, dispel physical damage reduction effects and force barriers from target. Then deals large damage. General force barrier dispel can increase hers and Zidane's overall damage output significantly. This is a very good ability for her. Attack number 2 is a cross-shaped AoE with base range of 3 to 5 and range height 2. Dispel re-raise from targets, then deals medium damage. And recover 15 AP if target is KO'd, up to 2 targets. Attack number 3 is her low AP ability. A unit attack with base range of 3 to 4 and range height 2. Does small damage and increase CT small for self. She can move again quicker, very nice. Attack number 4, the Job 25 ability. It is a select 2 unit attack with base range of 3 to 5, range height 2, and has the piercing effect. Before damage, lower target's unit resistance 60% and gives Yuna +30 hit rate. Then deals 2 hit large critical damage. This is a high accuracy and guarantee critical hit attack. Be sure to boost her crit damage as much as you can. Also, this is the only attack from her main job that does not require line of sight. That's all for her main job, moving on to her subs. The first ability from her main sub does AP damage. Select 2 targets, decrease their AP by 15, and has 25% to cause confusion. She would only use this if she has 0 hit chance. Second ability is a unit attack with range 3 to 4 and range height 2. Before damage, lower target's defense by 60%, then deals large damage. I do not recommend her main sub, I much prefer the next one. The next one is Sniper. Support number 1 is Sniper Mastery, giving her missile attack 15 and luck 12%. The other support is Long Range, increase her range by 1. With Long Range and her main support 2, she can match Zidane's range of 8. But you will be giving up attack stat and penetrations. The reaction is Counter Smoke, chance to lower enemies' accuracy after taking physical damage. This could be useful if she is alongside Elena. But it only has 30% chance to go off and the range is limited at 3. The 2 notable abilities are Barrier Break Arrow and Target. Barrier Break Arrow is so good for her. The only Barrier Break attack she has in her whole kit, and Zidane does not have any. Target is a self-buff that gives her range +1 and defense penetration 40 for 3 turns. Her AI will use target mid-fight when she can't reach. Keep is turned on, it won't affect her initial buff order. Sniper is the sub-job I recommend for the Barrier Break Arrow and access to arching attacks. Next is Trick Lancer. Support 1 is Trick Lancer Lore, it has 25 crit rate and 40 defense pen. This is a very good one for Yuna, but you will be giving up 12% agility. If you are running her solely for follow-up attacks, this will work. I had some success with it, but she was just too slow to keep up. The other support ability is Unwavering Javelin. Gives Yuna 25 accuracy, nullify stun, and increase the range of Binding Javelin by 1. As of right now, this 25 additional accuracy is a bit overkill, but it might be needed when the 42% luck card arrives for Rikku and Venera. The 2 notable abilities are AP Break Lance and Binding Javelin. The range is just too short for her to have a chance to use them. That's all for her kit, now let's look at her VC. Her card is arriving on the same day as her. It supports Sword Warrior, Great Sword, and Gun. The stats are HP 312, AP 15, Attack 151 and Dex 40. The party abilities are Agility 18%, Crit Damage 20, and Physical Wide Guard 20. The bestowed effects are Max HP 10% and Attack 10%. Hollow Party ability is for dual content, gives the group 15 crit rate. VC Mastery are Critical Rate 3, and Acquired AP up 5%. This is a 2-in-1 card, a top tier VC. This card can push Cloud's Physical Wide Guard to 100. Highly recommend it. Next are equipments, Truststones, and Espers. Let's go over the accuracy setup first. I like the Tiny Bee the most. The accuracy, missile resistance and peril, and man-eater are all really good. Much better than raw power from the death penalty. It does have the damage increase effect after taking out a unit, but it does not apply to her follow-up attacks. In the current meta, accuracy is above everything. In the second slot, give her as much accuracy as possible. The extra range from Moogle costume is not useful if you cannot land a hit. In the TMR slot, you can give her more accuracy with Water Veritas or New Jaiden's TMR. If you want higher crit rate, go with Ramada's TMR. For a follow-up build, go with Tiny Bee as her weapon. Genji glove or Moogle costume in the second slot. And either Titus's boots or Ramada's TMR for additional crit rate. Switch between different equipments to handle different situations. In the foreseeable future, you are likely to need a lot of accuracy. Next are Truststones. I like luck set on the left and aim set on the right. Agility or crit sets are also fine. All the abilities are listed here for the equipments below. I don't have acquired AP on Yuna, because she does not need it. She deals most of her damage with follow-up attacks. By the time she gets to use an ability is usually near the end of a fight. AP is not her main concern. Focus on her crit rate and accuracy. The best Esper are Regular Odin, Dark Bahamut, and Dark Odin. All three have Man-Eater. Sildra is good for accuracy and power. Okay, now let's move on to sample teams. The first team I have prepared is the anti-evade team with New Jaiden and Resnick. Both Yuna and Jaiden are built for accuracy. And Resnick is here to give the plus 30 accuracy buff. Before Resnick's buff, Yuna's hit rate is at 454%. After, she is at 484%. With her plus 30 hit rate attack, even the most evasive Rikku will have a hard time dodging Yuna. Jaiden's hit rate is about 10% lower than Yuna, he can land a hit from the side. Accuracy is the reason why this team has been one of the most used defense team in guild battle. Shinryu is not even on this team, they could have even more accuracy. I need Jaiden to keep his move -1 to stay back, and cast his courage remove buff, so I decided to go with East to Horn for more dex. My Dark Shiva does not have the debuff weakening node unlocked for that reason. Yuna and Jaiden works really well together. Yuna can break barrier, seal re-raise, nullify CT up, and dispel re-raise. While Jaiden can remove courage, and lower missile resistance and unit resistance. Even though Jaiden's courage removal does not proc on kill shots, Yuna is there to follow up. These two forms a powerful tandem. Yuna's resistances and penetrations do not look good. But in a setup like this, these numbers mean nothing. If they can't get close, they lose. One VC I want to point out is the Fated Confrontation. Ashen Ketone's card. It has physical man-eater and accuracy for the party. And some crit rate from bestowed, be sure to give it to Yuna. If you haven't maxed it yet, you can go with Pursuer. It does not have accuracy, but it has crit rate and missile attack. The other important VC is New Jaiden's card. AoE resistance for this team is meaningful, because Jaiden can seal debuff with his LB. They can still penetrate it, but there is no more AoE shreds or imperil. Plus the missile attack for the party is just perfect. If you have Jaiden and going for Yuna, you will need this VC. There is a downside to this team. Building so heavily on accuracy takes away a lot of agility and critical rate. The way to deal with this team is to rush them down with Keen Blade and or haste plus quicken. That's where Lucielle comes in. She can haste the 2 DPS units and give your team a chance against the rush strategy. Next we have the full gunner team with Light Veritas and Jaiden. When you get Light Veritas to 120, I would suggest to turn off her job 25 magic based attack. It has a long cast time and does not chain with her teammates. One cool thing about Light Veritas is her select 2 instant cast heal. she will use it when your team is in trouble. All the VCs are similar to the previous team, the idea is the same but the team is much faster. Typically it is almost impossible to have Yuna cast her follow-up buff on both teammates without turning off her group buff, using Keen Blade, or giving Yuna the bowtie. Play around with the unit placement, should you want the follow-up attack on a particular unit. Any of the other gunner units will work in this setup. Irvine is a very fun choice, seeing 2 follow-up attacks go off is really cool. Melnia can dispel re-raise on hit, and OG Alaya can boost Jaiden's ice attack. Next is the Mono Light team with Light Veritas and Cloud. The VCs are the typical light setup. But with Yuna's new card, the Jumbo Cactur Esper and his phone accessory, Cloud can reach 100 physical wide guard. It does not work like AoE resistance. Meaning, he still takes damage from AoE attacks but it is lowered significantly. Then Crit is coming back with a new card, he will be a strong candidate for this team. He is getting the FFT treatment, and should become a solid sub-tank unit. Also YuRiPa can fit on this team as well. Next is the Light and Dark team with Cypher and Cloud. Dark Veritas or Paine can take the place of Cypher. The VCs do not work that well for these 3 weapon groups, but this team can still work to a certain extent. Finally, we have the 5v5 Grand Arena team, just in case Global gets it soon. This team got me to top 10 and rewarded me with the new scope accessory. It was a limit arena event, there were no Visi or refresh, everyone was on a level playing field. If the map is gun user friendly, you can try this setup and go for some cool rewards. If you want to learn more about Grand Arena, you can check out my previous video. I will drop a link here. That's it for sample teams, let's look at the gun VCs, then my final thoughts. The gun group is ready as I have just shown. But the crossovers are all over the place, I don't think they can team up with other weapon groups yet. Now my final thoughts on Yuna. Yuna is a very strong DPS unit with top tier accuracy. She has a lot of offensive utilities that complement new Jaiden. Re-raise Seal, Null CT Up, Haste Dispel, just to name a few. Her unique follow-up attack that's not bonded by proximity allows her to keep pumping out damage in the backline while her teammates are out in the front. She is the answer to many top-tier meta teams such as the Exiah Sidali combo and the upcoming evasion meta with Rikku. Much like Gilgamesh, who also has a powerful follow-up attack, she fits easily onto many different teams. Just give her the YuRiPa card, she can go out and deal some good damage. Her AI is pretty friendly compared to Jaiden's, much easier to control. As a range attacker, some might say she can only do as good as the map allows her. That is partially true. In her main kit, she only has one attack that does not require line of sight. This could restrict her in the future. But her follow-up attack is not affected by any terrain. You can have her cast her follow-up buff on an ally, then let her walk up slowly to deliver the decisive blow. The only maps that she could have problems are shorter maps, where your enemies can get to her early on. Many next-gen units can be built for semi-evasion, and Yuna can take care of all of them. That is a huge plus. With all that said, I don't think she is on the tier as Gilgamesh, but she can definitely last for a long time. If you have the resources to pull for her and her VC, go for her. Her vision card is a must-have in my opinion. Now let's go to some sample matches. The first match of the day is my anti-evade team against Earth Evade with Rikku, Sidali, and Ashen King. Yuna's first action, her group buff. For 4 turns, increase the team's physical and magical damage output by 20%. Dispel haste on hit, and lower target's healing power by 20 on hit for 3 turns. For herself, re-raise, all elemental resistance up 20 for 4 turns, and hate down 5 after reviving. Since she can reach both allies with this buff, the AI used it first. Second action, her follow-up attack buff. Perform follow-up for an ally for 4 turns. Does extra small damage and does not affect chains. The follow-up attack seals targets re-raise Dispel, nullify their CT up, both for 3 turns. Also gives Yuna range +2, and recover 10 AP after performing a crit hit. The range +2 is removed after Yuna takes 2 hits. This is her job 25 attack. Gives herself plus 30 hit rate, then select 2 targets and lower their unit resistance 60%. Then deals 2 hit large critical damage and has the piercing effect. Took out Rikku. Notice here, Sadali's CT up is sealed by Yuna's follow-up attack. Yuna moves up to finish off Sadali with barrier break arrow. Second match of the day is against the Exiah and Sadali combo. Yuna will not be able to reach both teammates with her group buff on turn 1. So she will cast her follow-up attack buff on Zidane on her first turn. The 10 AP recovery on Zidane you saw is from the new scope accessory. Now that Yuna can reach all her teammates, she is casting her group buff. Courage removed from Zidane, and nullify CT up from Yuna. What a combo! Then Yuna uses her guarantee crit hit attack to take out Exiah. Here comes Light Veritas, select 2 instant heal. This is garbage time now, I will skip to the end. The last match of the day is my mixed light and dark team against water and ice. That's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.
時は近い。